Under the critical thinking during MBA, I will be talking about the research project, which is an important part of an MBA program. In this, first of all, I will be discussing about the meaning of research project. And as per my view, the research project is undertaken by the scholar to make some meaningful contribution in his or her area of specialization or the functional domain. And why that scholar is conducting this project is to gain some necessary insights into that area. And the scholar may further contribute into the existing body of knowledge as per the time frame which is given to the scholar for the completion of the research project. So this is the meaning of project which I wanted to discuss. Further, I will be telling you about some other names of the research project. That is, maybe it can be called as a final research project, or it can be called as a research project report. So these are some of the names which can be, you can say, used for the research project. And this research project is usually conducted in the final year of the MBA and needs to be accomplished within the time frame of one semester. So this is one, you can say, introduction to the research project, which I wanted to share. Further, I will talk about the need for the research project. Need. And the reason for doing the research project is that it helps to inculcate the higher order learning among the scholars. So as you know that there is something called Bloom's taxonomy, and in this Bloom's taxonomy, there are three levels, the upper three levels, which are called higher order thinking. These levels include the analysis, evaluation, and creativity. So this research project is specifically related to or concerned with these three levels of Bloom's taxonomy, and it helps the students or the scholars, you can say, to be proficient in these levels. And then the search projects also help to provide a blended learning to the students and to the management graduates. This includes a combination of theory, which is equally backed by the practical aspect, by the technical or the statistical issues, which can be used for the theories or the models. Then what we do is this research project also helps to gain some domain specific knowledge. Now, this domain specific knowledge may be related to an area of specialization, maybe finance, maybe marketing, maybe HR, maybe entrepreneurship, or any other specialization. So it helps to increase the knowledge of the students or the scholars related to that area. So further, the projects also help to boost the confidence or increase the confidence of the students, as this provides an hands-on experience. Like the students have to work on the project in the entire semester, and they can enhance their domain related, or you can say, in specialization related research skills. So this is another, you can say, need for conducting the research project. Then the research project also helps to maintain the, you can say, the goal, the objective of outcome based education, which is talked a lot, and this project is one of the effort towards that direction. So this is, you can say, the need for the research project, which I wanted to discuss. Further, I will talk about one issue which is very important among the students, and they usually have some doubt regarding this, that how do a training project and the research project differ. So in this regard, I will like to discuss with you the difference between these two. Now, what is the difference? The training project is basically an industry-oriented project, which is given to you. You can say the title of that project or the area of that project is usually given to the student in the training time, or by the supervisor who may be from the company, from some company where some student is doing some training or internship. Whereas in research project, it is usually done in the, you can say, premises of the university or the institution where somebody is staying or studying, and it is usually done within the time frame of one semester. Whereas training project is maybe for a specific time period of say 40 days or 50 days or whatever the norms of an institution are. So it may be of shorter duration than the research project, whereas research project has to be conducted in one entire semester in many cases. And research project is usually you can say a bigger project than a training project, and it requires a lot of literature review than a training project. Training project may or may not have a literature review. It depends upon the student, or it depends upon the supervisor. But in research projects, you should it is advised that you should always have a literature review being a part of a research project. So this is some of the difference between the training project and the research project, which I wanted to discuss. And this one question I you can say heard many a times from the students, that how do a training project and research project differ, and I've tried to answer that question in this particular slide. Next, I will talk about the general layout of a research project report. So the project report can be of different types, but I will just discuss a general type, that most of the time the project report will have these constituents or these parts, right? So the first part is the title of the project. That is obvious, that has to be there, because unless and until title is not decided, the student cannot further, or you can say the supervisor has to advise the student about the title of the project, that what he or she needs to work. So there has to be a continuous interaction between the scholar or the student who is conducting a research project and the supervisor or the guide. So the title has to be specific. That one thing one should keep in mind, that is it has to be specific. It has to be, you can say, understandable, simple, so that someone only by reading can understand that what is inside the project, right? So this is the first thing which we need to take up, that is the title of the project. Next is the preliminary pages, and these are the pages which includes the following components. These preliminary pages are usually followed by the title, and they may include the abstract, the acknowledgement by the candidate, the certificate by the supervisor, maybe. So that may be part of preliminary pages, the table of contents, the list of figures, the list of tables. So these are some of the, you can say, the parts, some of the parts of the preliminary pages. So this is about the, you can say, general layout which I'm discussing. Further, in the general layout of a research project report, I will be talking about the introduction of the research project. So the introduction has to be, you can say, related to the title of the project, and say if someone is doing a project on the title, consumer attitude towards herbal toothpaste in the field of marketing. So in that case, the introduction should include something about the consumer attitude, as well as something about the toothpastes which are available, some data related to that. So that should be the part of the introduction of the research project. And then after the introduction, the scholar or the student, whoever is conducting the project, has to go through the review of literature, which is very, very important, since it will guide the entire project later on. So review of literature should actually, you can say, done with great care, and quality studies should be followed in this review of literature. And depending upon the, you can say, the guidance of the supervisor, the appropriate review of literature should be done. And then after this review of literature, the need for the study has to be made or created, we can say. So the literature will tell us, or the review of literature will suggest us the research gaps, and those gaps will actually help the scholar or the student, whoever is taking up the project, to identify the need for the study. So that is the third thing which you should have in a research project report. After the research project's need for study, then we have the objectives of the project. which is very, very important. And these objectives have to be framed as per the, you can say, discussion with the supervisor of the project. So that is one important thing which students or the scholars have to perform in the projects. So this is one important, you can say, step during the research project that we call as objective setting. Next is the methodology. This will include the research methodology part, and this question, you can say, is asked many a times, that what do we need in research methodology. So in research methodology, you should have the research design, you should have the sample size, you should have the sample unit, you should have the sampling technique which you are using for the project. So everything related to, you can say, the approach for approach, everything related to the approach based on which you have conducted the project, you have to mention in the methodology. So this methodology needs to be very carefully planned so that you do not have any problem in the later stages of the project. So after the methodology, the next step is data analysis. And in this data analysis, usually in the MBA program, this data analysis may include the usage of charts, the uses of some graphs, or we can say it may include some statistical techniques which are applied by the scholars or the students based on the guidance of the supervisor or the guide, right? So this is what data analysis phase is. After that analysis, the scholars or the students need to, you can say, list the findings in the project report, that what exactly they have found, what new thing they have, you can say, found, or they have analyzed based on their study. They have to mention those things in the findings. And as per the findings, there may be some suggestions or recommendations which a research project should have, and they should be, you can say, listed in the project report. So after the findings and recommendations, we have the limitations and implications of further research. Limitations are usually present in most of the research studies, and we need to acknowledge some limitations in the research project, which is an important thing. After the limitations, further, the research scholar or the student who is pursuing the project need to talk about some implications for further research. If somebody wants to do further research in the particular field, as we were talking about, you can say, the consumer attitude towards herbal toothpaste. If somebody wants to do further research in that area, so there should be some guidelines related to that. There should be some, you can say, description about that, and that in which area further some research could be conducted, and that area could be explored further in the future. Then conclusion has to be there, and conclusion should be followed after the steps which we have, you can say, discussed above. And conclusion has to be very concise and specific, so that one should take care of. After the conclusion, there has to be bibliography, and in this bibliography, whatever studies someone has referred in the research projects, they need to be mentioned. Whether somebody has referred to some book, that needs to be listed in the bibliography, or a research report, if somebody has referred to, that also needs to be listed. So this bibliography should include everything which is referred for the completion of the project. And after the bibliography, there is something called appendix. And this appendix, in a course, in an MBA program, appendix in an MBA program project will basically include some information which cannot be the direct part of the text, or the, you can say, the theory of the project, but it has to be mentioned separately, like the questionnaire of a marketing project, or you can say the balance sheet for a finance project, that can be the part of the appendix. So this was all what I wanted to discuss with all of you regarding the research project report, which is an important thing for the MBA students. And I hope that I am able to clarify some of the doubts which students have regarding research project reports. So that's all from my side in this session.